Mark this as the show that is safe from Will Smith bitch slapping Chris Rock or bitch slapping one of us. Um, we can mark ourselves safe for that. Um, Actually, before we even get started, welcome to Sunday Morning Tinkle, by the way. Can we just take a moment and talk about that? We are Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. Should we just put these two in the octagon and just let them fight it out? Even though they apologize?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Before, so as crazy as it seems, I read something that apparently he refused to leave the Oscars and then is getting disciplinary action for his slap. So, kind of crazy what happened.
As he should.
Yeah.
See, I get where the comedians get off saying that this looks terrible and this sets a dangerous precedent. I totally get that. But I also see it from Will Smith's side where he has to defend his wife. I get his wife cheated on him multiple times, but, all the power to him if he can forgive her. I guess that's where I stand on it. I see it from both sides.
Right.
But Will Smith refusing to leave the Oscars. Now, here's the thing. I think I speak for both of us when I say we don't give a shit about the Oscars, but when the headline comes up like this, I'm all ears. I'm like, what the hell? But no, all the memes this week have just been amazing. I know Chris Rock has been on tour since. And actually, that might have brought light to Chris Rock again, because Chris Rock's been irrelevant since Grown Ups, really.
Yeah.
I mean, mark that as one of the movies I've seen that you can't torment me for not watching. I won't give you the list of movies that I've not watched, because we'd be here for the full hour discussing that. So,
yeah, I know.
With that, let's get moving.
Yes, please.
Coming up, we're going to discuss a new stadium being built in the NFL. We're going to talk March Madness, the Final Four. A shout out to a local man who will be participating in the festivities this weekend. And of course, a tinkle on this so bizarre for hockey. You just have to listen to this. But of course, we start off with the takeaways. I let you start last time, so I'm going to kick things off.
Yep, go ahead.
See how I led up to one of your takeaways, the kickoff? But
yeah.
All right. Well, it starts off with one of mine. Can I just say, in the history of the NFL, we have some great throwback uniforms. If I don't know, if I had to rate them, the Chargers powder blue, and here's the thing, I'm not saying it to be biased, but just that powder blue look is just, I don't know, I just am in love with that color. Then you've got the Patriots, the one with the actual Patriot, like, snapping the ball like this with the red. I mean, I don't know. To me, like, that color red just stands out as well.
It does. And I'm pretty sure from what I saw that they're bringing it back, too.
Yeah. I mean, the Houston Oilers, that's another one.
Yeah, for the Texans.
But let's not forget the days when Randall Cunningham was the quarterback for the Eagles. The Kelly green jerseys, yes, they are back, effective in 2023. Man, we're going to get a hell of a season.
The Creamsicle Buccaneer jerseys are coming out for the same season, too.
Creamsicle, too. That one's a good one. Maybe the Broncos will bring back their M&M ones that my mom likes to call them.
They probably will.
What about the Packers with the circle and the 12, the number inside?
I doubt it. I mean, they probably will. I mean, they have throwbacks that they wear every single season. So we shall see.
Yeah, but I gotta applaud the Eagles. This is their best move right here because those jerseys are just so. Like I said, I just love the colors of them. Like looking back, just some of those colors stood out.
Right, they did. And I don't think they have worn them since like 2009.
Yeah,
I mean, it was with Michael Vick and
Donovan
LaShawn
McNabb.
McCoy. So,
Yeah, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Again, just the colors back then just stood out so much better. And now we get to see it in modern day. And I know the Eagles fans, I think, have been pushing for these jerseys for years. They've wanted them back. So now, essentially, they deliver to the fans, which is even better. It's a shame. It'll probably go 8-9 in the division. Okay, on that note, now that I'm hated by the city of Philadelphia, how's about
which is one city you don't want to get hated by.
yeah, exactly. So Philadelphia, please don't kill me. Please just don't. So Shaheen Holloway, he of course led the miraculous St. Peter's run through the NCAA tournament, led him to the Elite Eight, and very well could have led him to the championship. Of course, UNC stopped him. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Oh, bless you. But we will talk about that a little bit more in the next half of the show when we discuss March Madness. But how Shaheen Holloway said after the game, I'm not focused on what my future holds. I'm focused on the 15 kids that left this game heartbroken, which to me sounded like he might stay. Well, his decision's been made a few days later. Holloway has taken the job at his alma mater, Seton Hall. He will become the new men's basketball coach. I don't like this move, I'll be honest. And you and I, every year, or at least last year, we discussed when the Loyola Chicago coach left for Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And I said, why would you leave when you have a chance to put the school on the map? Like, you have a chance to build off of that.
It's all about the money in the end. That's what it is.
I don't think for him it's about money. When you go back to your alma mater, it's about living out your dream, I think.
Yeah, probably. I mean, a lot of players, or a lot of coaches usually do that. They'll go back to the alma mater and will do it because that's what they dreamt of. And then sometimes it could be about the money, too. And then the bigger aspect, like, just look about it. Like, yeah, Loyola Chicago was doing good, but like, can have a little bit better success in Oklahoma. I don't know. It's crazy because you could put the teams on the map where you wouldn't have thought like a 15 seed would get as far as they did. It's the first time it's happened, and you could build off of that. But sometimes what does happen and what will happen in the future aren't exactly seeing eye to eye on a lot of stuff. So well, sucks.
I've given Gonzaga a lot of crap over the years for playing weak, or playing a weak conference, playing weak regular season games, and going to the tournament and getting annihilated by the good teams. Like, damn well I've been very hard on Gonzaga, but the one thing I can respect is that Mark Few, of course, he's been the coach there for over 20-something years, and he's essentially, look at them. They're number one every single year. They're battling for number one in the nation. And on top of it, they're bringing in good recruits. So, Mark Few made Gonzaga. And again, I said it last year, Jim Boeheim made Syracuse. Hell, Coach K made Duke. And then, of course, you've got Gino Auriemma on the women's side, who made UConn basketball what it is. John Wooden.
Right.
Wooden made UCLA. I can go on for days about all this. But those are guys who put their programs on the map. And it's a shame that it's a shame that Shaheen Holloway won't get to do that with St. Peter's, but I'm sure they'll make out well. Of course, we'll see. And also, this wasn't on my takeaways, but going off the coaching changes in college basketball, how's about we flip over to the women's side? University of Buffalo is saying, bye, Felicia. Sorry, bad joke. I'll be here all week. But Syracuse women's basketball has been under fire the last few years, and now Felicia Leggett-Jack will be the new basketball coach for the women's side at Syracuse. She, of course, is a Syracuse alumni. So, man, this is the theme of the show so far. Alumni going home. So,
Crazy.
I'm excited to see what Syracuse women's basketball can do now with her.
It'd be interesting to see.
So
it definitely will.
But anyway, moving on to my final point. Last year, probably about last July, I think you and I were discussing, man, Albert Pujols just got released by the LA Angels. This may be the end of his career wherever he signs. And, well, Albert Pujols, I'm sorry, I'm going to say another bad joke. He threw a curveball at us, and he's back in the MLB this season, and he is back with the team that he started it all with. The St. Louis Cardinals have signed Albert Pujols to a one-year deal, and Albert Pujols announced after his signing, this will be his final MLB season, of course, and it's good for him because now the universal DH in the National League, he'll actually have a shot to go out strong at the end of the day. And it's great to see Albert Pujols back one more year. He's going to cap off his Hall of Fame career with the team that he started it all with, which I like to see. I get there's a ceremonial, one-day contract that some teams do, but nothing beats going back and playing one more year with your team that you started it all with.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Could you imagine, Tom Brady coming back this offseason, getting released by the Bucks and signing with the Pats and saying this will be my final year?
That would be crazy.
Could you imagine, oh my gosh, if Joe Montana played one more year in San Fran? Or something?
That'd be something. That'd be crazy. I will say this. Now, it's cool to see Albert Pujols back in St. Louis because when I really was big into watching ESPN, I'm pretty sure he was with the St. Louis Cardinals and had quite a lot of success with them.
He hit 50 home runs a year almost.
So, I'm not going to say he's going to do that again, but don't be shocked if St. Louis has some decent success this year with him back. Yeah, it's his last year. It's going to be very emotional for him, but what better way to go out on top than having a good season? So I'm expecting Albert Pujols to go out there and put his best foot forward to at least putting St. Louis in line to try to compete this year, even though the man, his age and what he has done as of late has been kind of hit and miss, but Cardinals aren't usually a team to take lightly, so we'll see what happens here. It's great to see him back, but I just don't think that's going to lead into anything major with him.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's really the last. I mean, there are good guys in the MLB, but he's really the last of the old school, good guys. I mean, we had David Ortiz every year that was slugging lights out. We had Ryan Howard that was hitting very well in Philly. Albert Pujols. You had Jose Bautista. This is really the last of those guys, I think, if we look at it. I mean, the new school is just as good, but, this is a shame. I mean, I grew up watching Albert Pujols, and I'm just glad to see him go back to St. Louis. And I certainly wish him nothing but the best in his final year. And he's probably going to get the Derek Jeter type send-off at every stadium he goes to, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah, he probably will.
or the Coach K send off, like they did all year for Coach K. But we'll of course watch throughout the year. But with that, you're up. You're up to bat. Okay, I'm done.
I would probably say so.
See ya.
So I haven't really been talking much basketball on this show because there really hasn't been a whole lot of it going on, but some good news, at least as a Dallas Mavericks fan. They finally clinched playoffs for the third straight season with Luka Doncic. Currently the third seed. This is the best seeding that they have been in 11 years. So, and to much history, the last time that the Mavericks secured the number 3 seed, not saying that it's going to happen this year, I'm not expecting that at all, because you still have Memphis and Phoenix that have been really, really good this year, but I'm saying that the last time that the Mavericks had like a team like they have right now, where they had one superstar and one and surrounding role players around them, which Dallas, somewhat, they have been playing like a playoff team. Really, really good basketball. And what also helps them out is Jason Kidd, who knows what it takes to be on a team like that, being a number 3 seed, rally the team around and get them far. So if there's any coach right now that is the best to have on a team that has had that kind of success, it is Jason Kidd. I know, I'll say this now, we'll probably be the first to admit that we were definitely wrong about Jason Kidd. I didn't think that he was going to have as much success as he was going to have this year. Yeah, Dallas towards the beginning of the year was very rocky. They weren't doing as much. But if you look now, wow, they definitely turned it around at the right time.
In terms of
I will say,
I'll admit I was wrong, okay? Because I said with him going to the West, I mean, he didn't have the success in the East. So that's why I was saying, what in God's name thinks he's going to have any luck in the West Conference? But I'll give him props.
I want to say what really helped him gain the success was being on the Lakers coaching staff, because Frank Vogel helped teach him to be a very defensive, heavy-minded team, and you see that a lot in Dallas. They're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. They are currently like number 2, I think, either number 2 or number 3 defensively, in like points given up to defenses, which is really, really good. And if that stays up for the rest of the year, it's the best defensive rating that the Mavericks would have had in league history. Or in team history. In team history, it would have been the best defensive rating they would have had in team history, which is crazy to think about. But right now, the teams that they have to go up against, which I'm looking forward to, Fridays, of course we're recording on a Thursday, this will be up, but I'm looking forward to the rematch between Porzingis and Doncic. I think that's going to be interesting. But right now, yes, Dallas is currently the 3rd seed. They clinched with the Warriors' loss to the Suns. And as it looks right now, they would have to play the Jazz in the first round. So,
and the Jazz have been on a downward slide.
Yeah, as of late, yes, they have.
I like the Mavs if it stays as it is. I like the Mavs in that matchup. But the thing is, again, you mentioned Memphis, you mentioned Phoenix, and I'd even mention Golden State if they get that far. I think those are 3 teams.
Golden State has been very hit and miss. Ever since the All-Star break, they've been very, very bad. They've lost a lot of games, and a lot of important games too.
And then
Phoenix scares me because they're just such on a tear right now. They've been beating every single good team there has been. I get it. This is a team that went to the finals last year. They know what it takes. They have that championship mentality. They know what it takes to get there and get back into it. If I had to predict off of what I'm seeing right now in the West. I'm predicting it's either going to be Suns and Grizzlies or Suns and maybe I don't know, maybe the Mavericks.
Yep.
We'll see.
What?
I will say this now. I think the Mavericks are finally going to get past the first round. That's all I'm going to say. It's enough of that talk.
I see them doing that, but I'll tell you right now, the East. I mean, I can't even predict a finals matchup right now because the East is just so wide open between the top 4 teams right now, or top 6 actually. The Heat are doing their usual somewhat downward slump at the end of the year. So
yeah, but they're still up there in the top seed. I think currently they're the number 1 seed in the East. Yeah. So
they got the foundation. They just need to keep it consistent through 82 games, and I think they could be a threat to any team in that West that comes out.
Right, I agree.
But I'll let you continue.
And a very interesting rule change, which I kind of figured was going to happen, because I was like, I see that one rule change, I'm like, yeah, but haven't they forgot the overtime? And then as soon as I thought, okay, they forgot it. No, they didn't forget it. They had their owners meeting, and they finally went with the Indianapolis-Philadelphia ruling. And by the way, 29-3 in favor of it.
Yeah.
The 3 teams, to my knowledge, I think one of them was the Browns. The Browns didn't like it. I don't know the other 2, but I know that the Browns were one of the...
probably the Titans, because the Titans proposed a completely different rule. So...
And probably some other team that kind of had it too. I like this. Because it only really has to get changed for the postseason. Now, which I'm calling it's going to be called the Josh Allen rule, and this is the main reason why they decided to change it, because we got screwed out of seeing what could have happened if Josh Allen had possession of the ball. Probably could have been tied again. But then again, we don't know, because that's the past. Both teams were riding hot. It was 36-36. Kansas City scored and won. But if Buffalo was to have another possession, who is to say they would have gone down the field and somehow Gabriel Davis had 5, the most by any receiver, with 5 receiving touchdowns in the postseason. Who would have thought that, and then afterwards could have been, sudden death. Well, this year, this postseason, is going to be like that, where both teams will get possession of the ball unless the team that kicks off the ball to the receiving team gets a safety, then the game is over with.
But here's where my question lies. What happens now if you kick it off, you force a fumble, and you return it for the touchdown? Is that the same thing as a safety? Because I really didn't see anything on that. Because to me, it should be end game right there if that happened.
That's a good question. I didn't see anything like that either. I would think that the other team would still technically get a possession because they didn't. But then again,
I mean, technically they got a possession. They lost it.
I think that's kind of like where they're getting at. I think they're getting at if, say the receiver does and muffs the ball, that's technically a possession.
Yeah.
So the other team would get the possession and then run it in. I think that would be considered where both teams had possession of the ball and then the other team scored. So I think that don't be shocked if you see a lot of teams going in a route of trying to see if they can force a fumble.
Yeah.
Because
this is where I see, because again, the NFL's post on this was so vague at best. This is where I can see some real confusion come in. And again, this is just one of those rules, and I like it. I think it's a great start. But this is a rule where I just see it as this kind of thing's going to happen, and then we're going to have weeks and weeks and weeks of people being upset over this whole new rule. Okay. I'm just saying, if if you end the game on that, you're going to have one side upset. If you continue the game, you're going to have another side even more upset, saying, oh, well, they possessed the ball and they lost it. And then the team that kicked it off scored a touchdown. Why are we continuing the game? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, if I'm reading this correctly, and the rule is simply word for word what the NFL posted. So, but can I also point out, I think we're going to see a lot of 2-point conversions in overtime. I mean, think about it. Patrick Mahomes wins the toss. Let's go back to that game with the Bills and the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes wins the toss. They score the touchdown like they did. Technically ended the game. They kicked the extra point. It's 43-26. We knew if Buffalo got the ball, they were probably going to go down the field and score. Now it's 42-43. What makes you think Sean McDermott and, what makes you think Brian Dable and Sean McDermott wouldn't have said, let's go for 2, end the game here, and be sure that Patrick Mahomes doesn't get the ball back? Because you knew for a fact, based on how the game went, whichever team had the ball was going down the field.
That's kind of what I want to know, too. Say if the team does get a 2-point conversion, would that end the game right then and there?
I think so.
Would it? Because you're right. They didn't specify all the details about it. Of course, we'll probably find out. But I would think that technically, even though the team went down there and scored and got a 2-point conversion, I would think that the other team would still get a chance to either put up more points. I don't know. This is a very confusing overtime.
It's very vague.
Change.
I wouldn't say it's confusing. It's just very vague in terms of how it was described and how it was worded.
No matter what happens, that the other team would get a possession unless something like a fumble or anything like that would occur. So I think that's where they're getting at with it. Of course, we'll find out once we hear more details about it. Of course, we weren't there for the owners' meeting, so we have no clue what was the proposal unless we go up and read up, more detail.
To be there. It was in a resort, basically. Shoot, I'd love to be there.
So, and then also in a very interesting, thing that just happened.
Things you wouldn't expect.
Wouldn't expect. Bruce Arians retires from coaching and is going to be the new senior vice president.
Senior football operations thing is what he's doing. I don't know what the exact title is, but basically he's going to be assisting the GM.
So I'm probably thinking that he's going to have some insight of how the team's going to draft and all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then promotes defensive coordinator Todd Bowles to be a head coach. We remember the last time he was a head coach. Had one good season then.
But let's face it. Bruce Arians has lived off of, the success of the Steelers when he was their offensive coordinator. He lived off the successes of Tom Brady, okay? He very much lived off the success of Tom Brady in Tampa. I mean, granted, he deserved a Super Bowl, but come on. Before that, he was nowhere close to a Super Bowl. So, again, he was living off the success of the ageless Tom Brady.
And who's to know if, Tom Brady could have the same kind of success this year.
He should. He
probably will. I mean, 23rd season. The question goes in the mind is, when is it going to finally be enough?
Mm-hmm. See,
of course, it's the money that plays into the factor, I think. I think... I mean, I don't think it's the money. I think that it's the enjoyment of playing a game. He's just not ready to give it up yet. I'm sorry, Tom, but this is your ego speaking. Oh well, I'm still the best. I can go out there and show you that I'm still the best. That's ego kind of overruling his well, I also have a family. I should be there for more often than not. Like, I'm sorry, Tom, but you're also getting up there in age. You've like broken like almost every single kind of record that there is. You won 7 championships. What more is there to do? You know,
True.
be there for your family, man. Like football will still be there for you. You know,
Could have taken on an analyst role. Could have taken on a coaching role.
exactly. So
Or a team
why
consultant, maybe. Who knows?
why did it have to be back as a player? Like come on now. Like, but it is what it is. I'm hoping that Pujols does have some success, but don't be shocked if this is just a one good year type of thing, and then Tom Brady does ultimately actually retire, and then he just goes down to crapper and gets fired.
Yeah,
I mean, I hate to say it.
I'm sure. I mean,
Better as a coordinator than as a head coach. That's all I gotta say.
oh yeah. But I will say he deserves the second shot. I mean, the Jets really wasn't a good gauge of what he can do as a head coach. And here, I mean, now he's got the talent. Todd Bowles does. He has the talent around him. So now to me, this is a no excuse hire for him. He's got to win right away.
I agree.
Yeah, so.
It's going to be interesting what kind of differences get implemented now that Bruce Arians is no longer the head coach, because he was the offensive, minded coach. Now you bring in a defensive minded coach to be the head coach, so it makes you wonder how different this team's going to be this season.
Yeah, exactly.
I would think that Tom Brady's still going to have some say in how the offense runs. But how much is Todd Bowles going to have a different philosophy than Bruce Arians in the way that this team is run? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Oh, yeah.
of course, we'll find out when the season starts, but it makes you wonder how different this team going to be than it was last year with Bruce Arians as the head coach.
All right. Yeah, exactly.
But going to some stadium news. The Bills have been approved by the owners and the NFL for a brand new stadium. It will be built right across the existing stadium, which I don't know how they're going to start this off. I guess they were planning it to be on like Abbott Road, which, if anybody knows, there's quite a lot of open space. If you've ever been to Highmark Stadium, you got the stadium to, like, if you're driving down the main road, there's a stadium to the left there. And I want to say they're talking about the open area to the right. If I don't know, like they're talking across from the stadium. That could be anywhere. That could be like that way across, that way across.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly where it's going to be, but they're expecting it to be opened by the 2026 home opener. They still have to get all the legal paperwork done by September 1st. And get all the budgeting, done by hopefully soon. It should be a budget out by, soon. Like I said. What else? So they're saying that you have to have PSLs, which are personal seating licenses. I don't know if that's just for regular seats or if it's for the season tickets, because I saw something about that, like season tickets with a PSL could be upwards to like $1,000, which I think is insane. But they said that they will not get to the point where they price out the fans from attending games, which I do appreciate. Means that they're still going to be willing to have them decently priced, so then fans don't get shoehorned out.
We'll see when that comes around, obviously.
Exactly. The stadium is supposed to be expected to have less seating than the current stadium, which I don't know if I'd like that, honestly. It's supposed to be an open air concept. Will cost the same amount that the Pujols actually paid for it, with $850 million of it coming from the public, which I think is insane. but most of the other payments going to be coming from the league themselves, the Buffalo Bills, all New York State, Erie County.
Yep.
So there's a lot that's going to go into the spending for the stadium itself. And they're also expecting to start construction on it by the spring of next year. So.
Yeah, so I don't like how much they're getting in public funding. I'm not going to lie.
I don't either.
I wish, I mean, I read something as well. The Pujols are worth $5.8 billion. So again, this stadium, $1.4 billion. Yeah, it takes a chunk out of their net worth, but come on. Like, you know, I've been against, you know, big public funding like that. But, you know, personally, $850 million coming from the rest. I mean, I'm glad the NFL's chipping in, but $850 million out of tax dollars, I'm sorry, I can't get behind that. And personally, I'm sorry to say, I know there are Bills fans. You're a Bills fan. I know there are some that listen to us, but I'm sorry. I would have told the team, you're nuts. We're not dishing that out. Like, it's not worth it.
Right. You know? I know. It's crazy because honestly, they very well could have paid it out of pocket.
Yeah.
Too.
But I'm glad they're not becoming dome birds.
Jerry Jones paid for a brand new Dallas stadium, the AT&T Stadium. Over 100,000 seats that stadium can hold, and he paid it all out of his pocket too.
Yep. And he did the right thing. What I will say is also, does this mean the Bills will be playing elsewhere while the stadium is being built?
No, actually, they are still. The plan is still to have them play in their current stadium until the new stadium is ready to be played in 2026. Okay, that's where I read that up. So the plan is to still play in that stadium until the new stadium is ready to, be used.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been any plans to, demolishing it right after it gets, the new one gets built.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they plan on still using that for other things, like as a practice stadium or something like that. I don't know what is the plan for the old stadium when the new stadium gets built. As far as I know, is that it's going to be open air, but it's going to be kind of like some of the seats are going to get covered. Yeah. So it's going to be kind of like the Miami Dolphins stadium, where it's still that open air concept with like partial roof. So, but
so we won't get paid to go shovel there.
What's up?
We won't get paid to go shovel there anymore. Come on, I want to get paid. Not. I want to actually go out there and shovel the stadium this winter. Come on.
No, you still will this winter. It just not by then. No, I mean, what I was going to say is it's going to be open air. It's going to be covered, but if they ever were to build like a retractable roof or an actual dome over, it would cost them less money to have that into the cost of the actual stadium itself.
That takes away a lot of their home field advantage. So I get it, that'd be a lot cheaper, but you'd take away so much home field advantage doing that.
Oh yeah, I agree. So I don't think that's ever going to be really in the plan, but I do like that some of the seats are going to be covered. It's going to be different. It's going to be something new. Mm-hmm. As far as naming rights to the stadium, I would have no idea. Highmark still has the naming rights to the stadium. It's probably going to end up being Highmark Stadium yet again, or Highmark
I think
Field.
It's going to be something different, but
it probably will.
But before we go, I do want to say as well, I'm glad they didn't build this in downtown Buffalo. They were discussing that for the longest time. And let's face it, downtown Buffalo, to get in there for a big event, getting in there for March Madness was not easy. Getting in there for Jeff Dunham, not easy. and especially getting out was even worse. Like the traffic flow in Buffalo and downtown is not necessarily the greatest. And
No, it's not.
imagine if you had the Patriots in town and you had the Sabres playing at the same time. I'm just throwing that out there. It probably wouldn't happen, but it would be beyond hectic to be able to manage that in terms of traffic flow. I feel like
I
they
mean,
did
it's
the
already
right thing
beyond
keeping
hectic
it.
to get out of the stadium in general. So,
I mean, but I think it'd be worse if they did it in downtown Buffalo as opposed to doing it in Orchard Park like they've been doing for years and years.
right. Well, the crazy thing too, I mean, this is gonna be at least my final note is, um, it would have cost them a lot more money to go downtown. That's why they decided to go with a cheaper option to do it right across
Yep.
from the stadium. One and two, they would have had to demolish homes just to be able to build it in downtown, and they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to force people out of their
Yeah.
home just to
Good.
build a downtown stadium, which I honestly respect the heck out of them for doing that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can respect that too, honestly. So, with that, I think it's time to take the break. We'll be back to
Yep.
discuss. Oh, sorry, did you say
Oh,
something?
no, you're good.
Oh,
No, I was saying, yep, we're ready for that break.
yeah, all right. So, when we come back, March Madness, and we'll have Tinkle on this. That's all coming up here on Sunday Morning Tinkle in just a moment. Welcome back. St. Peter's run came to an end. We talked about it in the beginning, but before we get to that, I do want to say that there was just an announcement over Twitter. Bruce Arians will be inducted into the Bucks Ring of Honor
As you should.
for one good year.
I mean,
I mean, it would make sense if it was like, it makes sense if it was in New England and Bill Belichick stepped down because he's had years and years of success. But apparently in Tampa, it takes one good year of success to get into the Ring of Honor. But we'll see.
I have no real thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll leave it at that, I guess. So let's get on to March Madness. Anyway, St. Peter's, their miraculous run has finally ended in the Elite Eight, unfortunately. It'll be the University of North Carolina, the Tar Heels, and Duke facing off for the 100th time in the Coach K era, and the final time in the Coach K era. So, it should be fun. First time ever in the tournament, nonetheless. Then, of course, Villanova and Kansas faced off yesterday. Of course, we're recording Thursday. You're watching on Sunday, so these games have already passed by. And again, who do you think? I mean, I know the games happened yesterday, but who's the best of the rest?
probably Duke and Villanova, honestly. I would probably say just because Duke, it's Coach K's last year, so they're riding that momentum train on that. And Villanova also has won two national championships
the last two
recently.
times.
So Villanova knows what it takes to get to the championship game and win it all. Duke hasn't been there in quite some time, so I can see it being Duke and Villanova for the national championship game. If I had to choose a winner off of that, I would probably go with Duke. I can't say what score, but I would just think that it would be Duke that's going to win it all this year. I could be wrong.
I think it's Duke's to lose at this point, honestly. I mean, UNC has had a miraculous run as an 8 seed, and I'll give them a lot of props because no one thought they were this good. Okay. But Villanova, of course, they're short on the bench. But again, they've been to the Final Four the last 2 or 3 times. They've been to the national championship, and I think they won the last 2 or 3 times they were in the Final Four. So they very much know how to get the job done in this situation. But another big announcement, of course, coming out of Tournament Central there. This is a local one, so I want to give a salute to Board 60's Jeff Heines Anderson. Of course, he is a Final Four referee, rumored to be the national championship. He has reffed the last 3 NCAA Final Fours. So, again, congrats to Jeff. And, of course, can I just say, as a guy, of course, you and I both played CYO in Rochester, and you and I both know that Board 60 was the referee group. I got to look up the referee association, but it is Board 60. So many good refs out of there. All right, yeah, the IAABO, of course, Jeff Anderson is a class act, and he's done a hell of a job with reffing the big games. But I just want to give a shout out to Board 60. Again, thanks for everything you guys are doing. I know you don't hear this enough from coaches, and now you're hearing it from a coach himself. We appreciate you guys doing all the CYO games in the Rochester region. And Jeff, I hope you make Rochester proud this weekend.
I'm hoping so too.
So, let's get on to Tinkle on this then. So normally this show, I don't think once we've made a good comment about the Buffalo Sabres. So let's swallow our pride here for a second, and let's make some good headlines for the Sabres. So the third period, the game is tied. A Sabre shoots the puck, the stick breaks, and then the puck bounces off the back wall, off the goalie's skate, and in for the win. And the Sabres beat the Blackhawks on that goal. Goalie awareness. Okay? So
that's cool. It's crazy that it even happened in the first place, man. That's crazy.
That was just... I had to laugh when I saw that. So for that, Chicago Blackhawks, Tinkle on this. How do you not see the puck in that situation? And it was a slow-traveling puck.
It all happened pretty quick, so that's probably why.
It's not like the puck went, insanely quick. That's just bad awareness.
Maybe they got distracted by the broken deck and realized that the puck wasn't in the goal until it happened. I don't know.
Yeah, so
it could happen.
Yeah,
they get distracted, oh shoot, and then boom! Oh crap! Now they got a goal. I'm not saying that the puck itself was going fast. All the moments that led to the puck going in the goal happened pretty quick. That's what I'm saying. They probably didn't realize it was in there until it happened, because all those events happened pretty quick.
And talk about a goalie that'll never live down that goal, probably.
And probably won't.
So, but with that, again, Tinkle on this to the Chicago Blackhawks. Jason, what's coming up this week with no final bell?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we finally get to see the Jericho Appreciation Society beat down at Eddie Kingston after they thought, well, we haven't seen him in a while, so, he's finally back in action. So we could finally get to see them at least progress that storyline a little bit more. So what's going on with Turn 4 for the week?
Well, we saw an exciting race at Coda last weekend. This weekend, we're at Richmond. And I don't know what's going on in Richmond, but they just got a tornado warning on Thursday. I hope it doesn't impact the race on Sunday, or today rather. But again, we'll recap Richmond. We'll get you set for the Grand Prix at Long Beach. And by the way, a huge announcement out of F1 that they will be racing another U.S. race on the streets. We'll tell you the location. We'll tell you when the proposed date is going to be. That's coming your way very soon. Of course, if you know anything about F1, they've been trying to grow into the American market, so this should be a really good market for them to get into. Anyway, so that's what's coming up on Out of Turn 4. That's Tuesday at 5, Facebook and YouTube. And then No Final Bell Friday, or No Final Bell is Wednesday at 5. I said Friday
Yeah.
at first, so
No, you're good.
Wednesday at 5 on YouTube.
Hmm.
Anyway, with that, we want to say thanks for watching, and we will see you back here next Sunday for the next episode of Sunday Morning Tinkle. Until then, goodbye, everyone.